I am interviewing Alan Smith, born August 14, 1973, who served as a lieutenant and an eye doctor in the Navy. We are in Grand Rapids, Michigan on May 31st, 2017. My name is Samuel Morris. I am Alan Smith's nephew, and this interview is being conducted for the Veterans History Project at the Library of Congress. What made you decide to join the military, and why the Navy?
Great question. My father was in the Army as a medic, and so I knew that. And while I was reaching my senior year, I thought a little bit about the military, but not much. So I ended up going to college, and while I was in school, I learned about a military scholarship, like a GI Bill program for professional folks. I was already in my first year studying to be an eye doctor in graduate school, and then I learned about how the military would pay for all my schooling, my books, my boards, tuition, all the equipment I would need, and I would just give back a year for year for doing that. So I talked to a recruiter and I chose the Navy. The reason why I chose the Navy was pretty simple. The Air Force would pay for 1 year of schooling and I would have to give 3 years back. I still had 3 years left to do of my 8. The Army would pay a year for year, so they would pay for 3 of my 3 years to go. And the Navy would do the same, but the Navy recruiter was much better, and I thought the uniforms looked better.
Did you ever go outside of America while in service?
Yeah, great question. No, I was stationed in South Carolina, or in the United States, and I spent the entire time here in the Navy. And I really wanted to join the military, not only because of the schooling, but I really thought it would be cool to give back to my country.
What are the other benefits and disadvantages you had?
Of being in the Navy?
Yeah.
Well, the benefits were many. For one, it helped me in my schooling to reduce my debt. It gave me just a really cool experience. One of the great benefits is you're part of an organization or part of a team. You feel like you're part of something bigger than just yourself. And you comprise and make up the United States Navy. It was really, really beneficial, not only from the cost savings, but I got to meet new people, and I developed a greater pride in my country. For example, when I hear the national anthem, I stop what I'm doing, I look for the flag, and I show as much respect for the people that have given their lives and all the memories of being in the Navy. And when I look around and I see people who are just talking and screwing around, it just makes me sad. Makes me wish that everyone could have the kind of experience that I had serving the Navy and serving my country. And so the benefits are my pride in my country. I met incredible people of all walks of life, all nationalities, races, languages, people who came from very rich homes, people who came from nothing, but who are just incredible people. It opened my eyes to diversity, being from a real small town, and I made some new friends and learned new skills. So those were the benefits, I would say. And then you asked about the negatives, or how did you word it?
The disadvantages.
Disadvantages. Disadvantages is I would hear that I am property of the Navy. So the Navy owned me. They really, in every way, owned me. And when they own you, they tell you when you can go on vacation, when you can't go on vacation. They tell you what to do. They tell you when you have to pee in the cup. They tell you when you have to wear your uniform and which uniform. You don't get to pick what you wear to work. You wear the uniform of the day. So some of those are disadvantages. Sometimes you don't always get to choose where you want to go in the military. You have some choices, you make some recommendations, but ultimately they say in the Navy, the needs of the Navy. So whatever the Navy needs, that's what you get to do.
What are the medals and awards that you received?
Okay, well, everyone received, while I was in, the National Defense Medal, and that's whenever the country is at war in a conflict, so I earned that one. But the one that stands out to the most to me, and is the most meaningful, is my Navy Commendation Medal. And it's a green and white striped ribbon with a medal. And I received the medal for my contributions at the Naval Hospital, where I worked as an eye doctor.
How did other people that were below you, like, treat you?
Well, while I was in the Navy, then I was an officer. I was in, it's called an O3, or in the Navy it's a lieutenant. And as a lieutenant, I had all of the enlisted personnel in the Navy, so that would be the E1 all the way through E9. They treated me really good. The enlisted generally salute they salute the officers, and officers have to salute people who are of higher rank than them. So anyone 04 and higher, I would salute out of respect to them. And all of the enlisted would do the same to me. Now, it's one thing to be saluted because people have to. It's another thing when people salute you because they respect you and they appreciate how you treat them. So what I come to learn is if I treated the enlisted that work underneath me, or who worked in different departments who were enlisted, really well, they would treat me really well. And I knew I couldn't do my job well without their help. And most of them had been in the military long before me. And so I relied on them, especially as a newbie in the military or in the Navy.
Do you know of anyone else in our family that has served in the military?
Yeah, my father, or your grandfather, he served as a medic in the Navy at the time during the Korean War. And the only noteworthy thing I know, other than striving to save lives, is he delivered a baby on a helicopter. And so that's the big exciting. I can't honestly say I did anything quite so unique as an eye doctor in the Navy.
Is that all that served in our family?
That's a great question. I really haven't thought about it much more than that. But there's been some cousins that I've had, so they'd be your second cousins, who served in the Marine Corps. And another cousin of mine who served in the Navy as an enlisted for a short period of time, but I'm unaware of what he did while he was in the Navy, what his role was.
Do you know much about Grandpa Frederick?
Yeah, I do know that. Oh, sorry, I can't believe I left him out. So my grandfather, not yours, John Frederick, he served in the Army, and he was in the Pacific Islands and was involved in combat and earned at least one Purple Heart, and he was in a really difficult situation. I used to know more about it, but I actually have forgotten, so it makes me want to brush up on that.
Well, thank you for this time.